Welcome back to Manifest Your Success. We are on chapter 1, and today our topic is self-belief and its constraints. Self-belief and constraints is a very essential part of our life. Henry Ford's famous quote was, "A spot on self-belief is an essential ingredient for success." Albert Laszlo Wasby, a professor at the Northeastern University and the author of the formula, The Universal Law of Success, found that the self-belief plays a major role in succeeding in life. Often, we assume that people who went to a university like Harvard become high achievers. Because of their education, we think that Ivy League graduates somehow get different training or use their brand name education to open doors. And that's what makes them successful in the long term. But Barbasi's research suggests that students don't excel because of the school they attend. The single determinant of long-term success was arrived from the best college a kid Mary applied to. Even if she didn't get in, Barbasi wrote, meaning that if she applied to Harvard, got rejected, and went to Northeastern, her success was on her a par with the Harvard graduates who matched the SATs on high school grades. Is it that weird? Turns out that self-belief, the confidence to apply to a great school, matters more than the school you went to. Barbasi's research backs up that the American industrialist Henry Ford said decades ago, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you are probably right." Each of us has known disappointment and a reversal in the course of our life, and this is little dumb that we shall have to have them again. The temptation or the urge to give up is a common one. Nobody is exempt from that. Let us attempt that fact that failure isn't something many of us can handle gratefully. This is not common to deal something negative gracefully. And even though we know it's a common human condition, we are somehow always surprised when it happens to us. It's called the magic circle game, and many of our children have likely played it in school. The game works like this. Each day one child is given a badge that say, "I'm great." Then the other children take turns praising the great child. And actually these compliments are written down and given to the child. On the surface, this simple game may not seem damaging. Every child needs to feel valued, right? It is very common phenomena that we like appreciation, we like to be praised. But upon close inspection and despite its intention, this game is actually doing more than harm than good. The game and others like it came about as part of the self-esteem movement, a philosophy that begins in the late 1970s. Experts says it was started because educators were becoming increasingly aware that many of their students were dealing with the stressful circumstances outside of school, and they needed something positive to build their sense of self. Self-esteem is difficult to decline, but it is very, very important act to actually define your own self-esteem. But on the most basic level, it can be defined as how one views themselves. The concept of self-esteem can be divided into two major categories: worth and competence. The self-esteem movement was assumed to be so effective that the children of the movement would be the first fruits of a better, more positive and productive society. Their assumptions may be wrong, but two recent articles have revealed some important information on the children of the self-esteem age. Children who are currently growing up are already adults. The first published in the Wall Street Journal titled "The Most Praised Generation Goes to Work" sheds light on how these self-esteem children are doing as young adults. The author Jeffrey Jaslow reports that both bosses and professors are feeling the need to lavish more praise on young adults, particularly 20-somethings, or else they would, whether under an unfamiliarly compliment difficulties. Or he adds that a lot of today's young adults tend to feel insecure if they are not regularly stroked or complimented. What's more, Corporations are going so far as a hire consultants to teach managers how to compliment employees using email and prize packages to simply going little more than showing up to work. Another article by the Associate Press cites a new study that found today's college students are significantly more narcissistic than their predecessors. Narcissism is a personality disorder marked specifically by an inflated sense of importance, a lack of empathy and credibility of learning from others, and the inability to accept criticism, even if it is constructive. Psychologists worry that the trend would be harmful to personal relationship and society as a whole. The researchers who conducted the study describe it as the largest ever of its type and report that the average college student was 30% more narcissistic than the average student in 1982. Even though these researches were done on students, all of us are still in some way or other students all throughout our life. This problem of too much praise often harm us by building up too much self-esteem. We constantly like to hear well done, and this is things nurture in us growth of puffed up egos. Thinking more highly of ourselves than we ought to think is called pride. Thinking less highly of ourselves than we ought to think is false humility. Thinking about ourselves soberly is true humility. We need to realize our sense of worth as well as the fact that we are not totally worthless. Yet, narcissistic tendencies in society are strong indicators that we aren't living soberly. This is not to say that we don't need to compliment here or there, because that's what we do. But these compliments needs to be tempered and digested internally, judicially. Right? The goal of each of us is that make it a practical to guide ourselves to the understand our worth without pride, and this is what builds in us the way the self-belief to propel forward in the mindset of constraint. We can observe this quality while studying the exemplary life of many people. For example, in Bible, St. Paul says in Philippians 2 verses 3-4 that we should do nothing from selfishness and empty conceit, but with humility of mind let each of you regard one another as more important than himself. Do not merely look out for your own personal interest, but also for the interest of others. Our success is inbuilt in our customer success, and only by courageously projecting the uniqueness that we could offer to our customers in a humble way, catering of their interests first and foremost rather than our own, defines the true process of understanding the perseverance of the success. So, what are your thoughts? How do you treat yourself, and how do you build your self-belief? That's the question I would like to ask to myself and to yourself. Don't forget to leave your comment. How did you build your self-belief? Have you gone through any positive or negative side? Share your comment, share your experience. We would love to hear your story, your side of constraints. And what do you think about your today's episode? Don't forget to like, share and comment. Share the pride, share the self-esteem, share the love to everyone else. That's it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in our next episode.